Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by BASF, where you can count on the trusted performance of Alevos seed treatment to protect your soybean crop. Yesterday, I took a round trip to Millersburg and back in late afternoon and up into early evening. It was still light out, and in that trip, I saw absolutely zero hunters, and I saw 2 deer in a cornfield, but that was within 5 miles of my house. Ohio hunters checked 23,149 white-tailed deer on Monday, the first day of deer season. That's down a little bit from last year, but it is above the 3-day average. U.S. Senate passage of the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act opens a path to congressional passage this month, with National Milk Producers Federation leading an advocacy campaign to ensure prompt House of Representatives approval of legislation that will benefit children's nutrition. The Senate unanimously passed the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act on November 20th, leaving only House passage and a presidential signature before improved access to dairy nutrition in schools becomes law. The bill provides schools with the option of serving whole and 2% milk, in addition to the 1% fat-free and flavored options currently offered. Whole and 2% milk are the most consumed varieties at home, offering the same 13 essential nutrients, including protein, calcium, and vitamin D, with the taste kids often prefer. Restoring schools' option to offer whole and reduced fat milk will mean more school kids will get the essential nutrients they need. National Milk Producers Federation President and CEO Greg Dodds said in a statement after Senate passage. This common sense legislation will help American children get back on solid nutritional footing. We're grateful that both sides of the aisle can come together and agree on the importance of making informed, science-backed decisions that prioritize the health and future of our children. Today's weather brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
Cold air, but no new precipitation in for your Thursday. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at that Ohio Ag Weather Update. High pressure is in control as an Arctic high starting the day off in central Iowa. Going to be moving eastward through the day today. North winds ahead of that keep us on the chilly side. This high is going to be parked right on top of us as we wake up tomorrow morning. That means the coldest air of this Arctic air mass will be here, and you're going to wake up and going to feel quite nasty with wind chills. I think we're down in the well below zero range. I don't think we see actual air temperatures there, but no doubt about it, it is a very cold start to tomorrow. Otherwise, I do think we get some sunshine back through the day, and Saturday is looking fairly decent as well. Seeing a few clouds come in late Sunday night into Monday, but otherwise nothing dramatic there. Next precipitation threat that we have is going to be a Clipper system coming across the Great Lakes next Tuesday the 9th, probably throwing some clouds and some light snow in all areas north of I-70. Then we take a break for next Wednesday. Before Wednesday night, Thursday, we see some snow coming through, which will leave accumulations. Behind that, cold air holds through the rest of the weekend, but the following week, the week of the 15th, warm air is here, and it comes with some rain and, well, a lot of melt. Mud season is going to come upon us very, very quickly. I don't think it lasts a long time, though, as a flash freeze probably returns for the week of Christmas. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Let's check in with our weekly update from the Ohio Soybean Council and your checkoff dollars at work. Here's Dusty Sonnenberg.
Joining me is Mike Steenhoek. Mike is the executive director for the Soy Transportation Coalition. Mike, railroads the topic of the day, especially in light of some of the proposed mergers. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, and this is really seismic within the rail industry, and it's going to be very profound for the broader economy. This potential merger between two of the largest railroads operating in the United States, Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern. So as a result of that, you have Eastern railroads and Western railroads. You have a series of kind of handoff points from one area to the next. And one of the things that the proponents of this merger, Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern, articulate, if this is allowed to proceed, it will eliminate many of these handoffs. And it is a fundamental reality within supply chains that freight doesn't like to be treated like a baton at a relay race. It doesn't like to be handed off. The more you can minimize handoffs, the more efficient that system is. And so that's what they're arguing. So what this would essentially result in is one true coast-to-coast railroad in the United States for the very first time. And so there's obviously a lot of ramifications and potential ripple effects of that. And so that's what the proposal is. There still needs to be government regulators, particularly the Surface Transportation Board, that have to approve it. But this is going to be a big topic of discussion moving forward over the next year and a half at least.
My guest today has been Mike Steenhoek, Executive Director of the Soy Transportation Coalition. Today's update brought to us by the Ohio Soybean Council and your soybean checkoff.
And thanks, Dusty. Average retail fertilizer prices continue to be mostly higher during the fourth week of November, according to sellers surveyed by DTN. The average retail price of MAP during the fourth week of November was $923 per ton, down $8 per ton from a month ago. The price of MAP is now 14% higher than it was a year ago. The 5 nutrients with higher prices were potash, which had an average price of $4.89 a ton, 1034O at $667 a ton, anhydrous $865 a ton, UAN 28 $417 a ton, and UAN 32 at $466 a ton. The 3 fertilizers with slightly lower prices from last month were DAP with an average price of $925, MAP $923, and urea $590 a ton. The Purdue University CME Group Ag Economy Barometer Index was released on Tuesday, and a better outlook for a future for farmers pushed the barometer higher. The index climbed to 139 in November, 10 points higher than in October, and the highest reading since June of this year. The November survey again asked corn producers about the adjustments to their production practices they anticipate making in 2026, with expected weak operating margins. The top 2 production practices producers said they will consider are changing or shifting to lower-cost seed traits or varieties and reducing application of phosphorus fertilizer. After those 2 top choices, farmers said they might consider reducing corn seeding rates and lower nitrogen application rates. Still, a large majority of farmers, 40%, said they don't plan to make any changes to their corn production practices in 2026, the report stated. And let's check in now with Ty Higgins. He has an update from yesterday's no-till meeting.
I had the chance to sit in on the Ohio No-Till Conference yesterday in Plain City. A lot of interesting items discussed, including AI, grazing cover crops, and water management was on top of mind, especially with all the development happening within Central Ohio and beyond. Fred Yoder's in the heart of the changing landscape. He farms in Plain City. He says some of the things he and many of the farmers in the room already do will help with water management down the road.
I just think we really need to manage the water we do get. 25 to 27,000 gallon extra capacity just by having one more point of organic matter. We've seen that in our own farm. One of the things that you do to manage your risk is you make your soil more resilient. And so you're going to have to be able to basically deal with that too much water early. And that means, cover crops and no-till is going to really help you. And then when it turns off dry, it's just reverse it. So you've got that 50,000 gallon of extra capacity that's going to get you through the dry times.
Yoder says that thought process certainly played out during the 2025 growing season.
We did not think we were going to get much as far as yield. We were really playing it down. We had phenomenal yields for what we had. I mean, it's amazing. And there's a combination of that. That's number one, I think, is managing the water, that we actually had some reserves when it did turn off really dry. But we also used these genetics today are just phenomenal. I mean, that's the one time I don't think we need to skimp on our genetics. These genetics will take way more water. How many times have you seen soybeans survive 2 to 3 days underwater? It used to be in 24 hours, it was done, but they're surviving now. So technology is our friend, but it's also, it's a way to manage that risk.
For the Ohio AgNet, I'm Ty Higgins reporting.
And thanks, Ty. Back with more after this.
After years of dedication, Jim and Jody Johnson are retiring and selling their quality farm equipment through Purple Wave's December 30th Ag Auction. Don't miss their 2024 John Deere ExactEmerge 1775 NT Planter and 2019 John Deere S760 Combine. See the equipment yourself during open inspections at Osage, Iowa on Wednesday, December 17th and Monday, December 29th, both from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit purplewave.com for a complete listing. Purple Wave Auction, straight, simple, sold.
When you combine the advanced technology of Enlist E3 soybeans with Seed Consultants' dedication to performance in the Eastern Corn Belt, It's a simply better experience. Our Seed Consultants brand soybeans are hand-selected, tested, and proven to perform in your conditions, backed by the local knowledge of Seed Consultants sales professionals. Find to better soybeans with reliability and results packed into every variety. Visit seedconsultants.com.
And upcoming on the broadcast calendar on Monday, we'll go to the Office of Ohio Corn and Wheat for the latest update there. Today's market analysis is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. For marketing information on your beans to LDC, call 574-566-2113. With your analysis, here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished mostly lower on your Wednesday. As we move into the second part of the week now, it's going to be interesting here. Corn led the break lower yesterday despite record U.S. ethanol production. Ethanol production for the week ending November 28th, an all-time record, 331 million gallons. That was versus 327 last week, up 5% year on year. The estimate is that 92 to 94% of existing capacity has been used in the last 2 weeks, and this week's EIA data is welcomed. However, the ethanol grind most often peaks in mid to late November and then drifts lower into early summer. Pace analysis is interesting now that says USDA's industrial corn use forecast is still probably a little bit inflated. The revised corn used for ethanol number in many circles now is about 465 million bushels versus 472 in November of 2024. Record grind will be needed through the next 8 months to get to levels that we would be talking about on those estimates. Ethanol exports have been a bright spot demand-wise, but keep in mind the corn market's goal is to sustain fancy production margins, which amid weaker cash ethanol prices keeps a 450 to 460 resistance in place basis March. Spot Midwest ethanol swaps this week fell to about $1.70 a gallon overall. So what we're basically saying is the ethanol market continues to be strong, but it may not lead us to a big run-up in our futures prices on corn. January soybeans has performed worse from a chart perspective. We do have a head and shoulders formation being monitored. I've been watching that on the March charts now for at least a few days. Big concern is that the pattern aligns with the arrival of new crop cash beans in Brazil in late December and early January. I'm Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. I'll have the overnight figures after this.
Here's farmer and businessman James Wood.
We farm about 3,500 acres. There's pipelines everywhere. The contractor working on my property did not have the lines located before he began work, and it resulted on a strike on a natural gas pipeline. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but it could have been much worse.
Never assume the location or depth of underground lines. Always call 811 or visit clickbeforeyoudig.com before you start work. A message from the Pipeline Operators for Ag Safety campaign.
Today's market's brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Overnight at the open, December corn up 1/4 cent at $4.31 3/4, while March is down 1/2 at $4.43. May down a penny at $4.49 3/4. January beans up 1/2 at $11.16 1/4 cent. March 11.26 up 1/2, and May also up 1/2 cent at $11.35 1/4 cent. July wheat unchanged at $5.53. September down 1/4 cent at $5.65. At yesterday's close, December cattle closed $218.95, up 47. February up $1.10 at $221.90, and April up 97 cents at $223.40. December lean hogs $80.55, up a nickel. February, $81, up 82 cents, and April up 90 cents at $84.72. March feeder cattle, $325.80, up $1.87. April also up $1.87 at $325.17, and May, $323.97, up an even $2. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, everyone. I'm Dale Minyo. This is the Ohio Ag Net.